our next speaker has been all the way up to space, and she's about to land again. And she will tell you a great story about design. Ladies and gentlemen, Cecilia Hertz. Welcome.
Tack. Okay. So thank you for this nice introduction. I would like to say I'm very happy to be invited here today and to share with you a journey from space down to Earth. So I started Umbilical Design 2001 with focus on design and architecture for space and extreme environments, with ongoing cooperations with both NASA and the European Space Agency. Most people tend to ask about the name, and it's of course a space term, and it's used in space about everything that connects two things. Most well known, of course, is the connection between the astronaut and his or her spacecraft. That's exactly how we would like to work in umbilical design, to be this creative link into often very big, complex projects that we tend to be involved in. This was the little vehicle that actually brought me into space, and I hope I will stay there. So the crew return vehicle, it was a cooperation with both NASA and the European Space Agency, and it started as a diploma work at Lund Institute of Technology. And when we came to NASA and met up with the boss of the little vehicle, he told us, "Oh, so you are the Swedish designers that are going to hang some curtains in the windows?" And I guess it was because we were 3 girls and 1 guy. But that rather inspired us. So we were like, oh, okay, we'll come back to you, Mr. Boss of the CRV. And we decided to change the whole interior of this little crew return vehicle. And when you see this image, you might understand even more why I like to be working in the space industry, because then you get up to fly with these weightless flights. So this was with an Airbus 300 that is rebuilt to actually handle to go in these parabolas up and down. So on each top you are weightless for around 30 seconds, and then you should try your prototype. We brought up a section of this little crew return vehicle and some seats, and to be able to do the best, of course, the plane repeats this, so it goes up and down 30 times. So it's 2.5 hours up in the air. It's really fun. You should try that when you can. Collaboration with astronauts. We had actually a team of 6 astronauts involved in our diploma work, also involving our Swedish astronaut Christer Fuglesang. And this was so surprising for the NASA people. They said, "We can't understand, how come that you get 6 astronauts involved in your little project?" And we were like, okay, should we tell them? It's quite easy. Okay, we let them know. Our little secret was that we actually asked the astronauts, how would you prefer your environment? What would help out for you in an emergency situation when you should use this vehicle? So that was the easy thing. You should just ask people how they would like their environment and how we can help out to work with them. And then, of course, they want to work with you. So that was quite easy for us. So the result that we came up with and presented for NASA and ESA was that we changed the interior totally, and the major change was that instead of having a flat floor with 7 seats on the floor, we decided to integrate the seats in the floor structure. So that saved a lot of weight, and that's extremely popular if you are in the space industry, when it costs around $10,000 per kilo that you decide to bring up in space. And we also created what we call a better volume management. As we used the floor and changed the structure, we actually gave a lot more volume to the technical systems. And we calculated that exactly so we can show the engineers that we actually, by involving designers, architects, we actually could give them more volumes to their technical system. So that was very popular. And no talking about curtains when we made our presentation. So that was quite fun. So the idea of volume management we have been working with also in other industries here on Earth, because it's more about how to see how can we work with volumes more smart in small enclosed environments. We also work with something we call weightless thinking, and this also is to integrate some new thinking in the industry, which is of course really needed to get people think new, and as Kaisa mentioned, outside the box thinking. So here is more about integrating what we call the zero gravity factor in the design process to avoid doing what we call repetitive design. We really want to contribute and do innovative design. So this area of using ideas, concepts, materials, and technologies from space sector here on Earth actually became our major business area 2004. And 2009, we got a question from European Space Agency if we would like to actually be what they call the NTTI, National Technology Transfer Initiative for Sweden. So that's what we are doing now, building a platform here in Sweden for space technology transfer, where our major project is at the moment Down to Earth, which I will come back to a little bit later. So then, of course, people can ask themselves, so what's so important and what's so special with this space technologies or space materials? And that's, of course, because they are developed for this extreme climate that we have in space, with extreme changes in temperature and blending sunlight and low gravity, strong winds, radiation, and so on. So that creates products, or rather materials and technologies that have qualities that are really interesting for the industry, with things like low weight, strength, durability, and reliability, and low sensitivity to changes in temperature and radiation and corrosion. And this, of course, makes it possible to make really competitive products. This is just to give you a little mapping of how we work. We decided to work with different industries to see, can we create value no matter what industry we actually decide to enter? And just to give you a few examples what it could be. The first example we did was a workshop with the forest industry and the space industry. And that was really challenging to combine two industries that seems to be so far from each other, but actually combining them is when innovation appears. We have also been into protective clothing. We have been working with, as you see to the right, with the Scania. And then we called them and said, we see similarities between your truck drivers and our astronauts. It was very quiet in the phone for a while, but okay, let us explore that. And we will actually see results coming out in 3 years' time. So this was really exciting to actually challenge the idea that the astronauts and truck drivers have a little bit of the similarities, living and working in an enclosed environment. So, talking about living and working in an enclosed environment, what you see here is the plan for living on Mars. This is the living module called the AIM, Advanced Integration Matrix, that is actually built up in full scale in Houston at NASA at the moment. And it's cylinders that is planned for living on Mars, 11 meters long and 4 meters in diameter. And this is actually very interesting because it's very compact and everything needs to be recycled. So it's very much a sustainable mini society, these buildings. And everything, you also need to grow your own food. This is also examples of these compact small habitation modules with very interesting technology that we are now looking into. How can we bring this back to Earth and actually create value for our growing cities? We also do projects to see how we can work integrating space technologies in our developing countries. So this is one example how we look into combinations and innovation. The spacesuit for the astronaut is actually like the astronaut's house because it's protecting the astronaut from the environment. So here we are looking into what can we learn from the astronaut suit, which is made of 19 different layers. Could we use this in house construction and make new isolation for different climates? So this is really interesting and exciting. I was happy to see Kaisa's presentation because now I understand that she also, it was from her that this little yellow man came. As you can see, this is me to the left and the Crown Princess Victoria to the right. We were very happy because we received a 2008 nomination for Globe Award, Best CSR Entrepreneur, and we received an honorary diploma for what we have been doing so far in space technology transfer. So then, of course, it should be more easy to just settle down and be a little bit more laid back. But we got more inspired and said, how can we now transfer this into more activities and more knowledge? And that's why we started the Down to Earth project, which is all about how to see how can we commercialize space technologies for a sustainable Earth. So this is a major project that we work with right now to see how we can target current and global challenges and work together with the space agencies and universities and different companies. So all this we have exhibited the first results last year at the Shanghai World Expo in the Swedish Pavilion, which was very well received. So here you can see, as I mentioned, it's so many things that we can actually learn and use from outer space and bring back down to Earth. For example, you can see this little man to the right. He's standing in a shower, so that's a space shower. It's actually a tube, and then you just use like sponges not to have use too much water, because water is too heavy to bring up to space. So maybe this is the situation for us in the future, that we need to have this kind of space showers, as we on Earth, we don't have too much water either. So I don't know if we should do this as a transfer, but I think he looks quite happy, don't you? To just integrate a little bit of figures, not so much, but the space sector here in Europe has calculated that every euro that is invested in the space research comes back to the society times 20. And that's quite interesting figures. Also keeping in mind that what's been doing right now is more what we call traditional technology transfer, that the industry come to the space sector and look for a sensor, for example. And we go into the material data bank in the space sector and say, okay, here is a sensor. I don't think that's too interesting. So what we is developing now is what we call down-to-earth innovation process, where we really want to, at the first, challenge the industry. Maybe it's not a sensor that is needed. Maybe there is something else. So we want also to challenge the industry and say maybe we should do something totally else together, just to make sure that we're not developing the wrong things. And looking more into details about our process and how we work with combining sustainability and space, and also the challenges from the company. And we integrate students in the process, because we, of course, can see, as our friend in Silicon Valley says, that all innovations is being done by people under 30 years old. So I can assure you that there are no people under 30 in the organization that they bring to our innovation workshops. So we need to bring in the young people, of course. And a lot of ideas come up during these workshops, maybe 200-300 ideas in 2 days of time. So we also now is learning the industry that you can't keep all these ideas for yourself, as it's about sustainable development. So that's why we now are developing something we call the down-to-earth incubator. So we actually want to give to the students the opportunity to bring forward the ideas that the companies are not going to commercialize. So the students can take them further, either in development projects or PhDs or research, or starting companies around these projects. But this is a little learning process for the companies, but we will make sure that they learn quickly to share. So this was the little module that we actually showed at the World Expo in Shanghai. It's built and developed by our friends at Konstfack, so we are very happy to cooperate with them when it comes to visualizations. Okay, some final reflections about entrepreneurship and the journey. This was the feeling when I started my company right after my degree in industrial design at Lund Institute of Technology, because people were telling me, Cecilia, you can't start a space design company in Sweden. Now I'm happy that I didn't listen to those people, so don't do that you either. So I was thinking, maybe is it this preparation you would like to feel when you come out from the university? I don't think it's needed, so it's more like this maybe. So you feel you have a direction at least, and not free-falling. So my direction and help was from a business angel that helped out so I could start my dream. So these people are really important, that can really support so people can do their passion. then you can always questioning how should you make yourself heard and visible. I'm thinking of the NASA boss when he were. You would feel like to reply in this way when he were talking about these curtains, but sometimes it's good to be more inspired of people like him and come back with new results. Because if we look into how the NASA people plan, where they integrate the human people in their very technical projects and processes, they had put in the astronauts in the final phase, and that's where they thought they should integrate design and architect work. But now with our project, we actually can push this so we get integrated in the beginning of the process, as they actually could see that integrating designers and architects actually changed the whole construction of this little vehicle. So it's all about cooperation, which is of course shown in this image, which I think is very important. Because imagine if this Formula One driver was only surrounded by medical doctors, that wouldn't help him a lot. But strangely enough, that's the way we often plan projects. We integrate only the people of the same backgrounds and think that we can make the impossible possible. But I think we have a lot to learn from both the Formula One industry and from the space sector when it comes to integrating disciplines and teamwork. And finally, I learned that after 1 month, people only tend to remind about 1% of a lecture. So I summarize my lecture in 2 words that I want to send with you, and it's why not. I used to say that I kind of collect of these why not people because they are so important. The why not people, it's people that when they are put into a bit of an odd situation or have a proposal of a project that seems to be a bit strange and not the ordinary way of doing things, that's the people that say why not, that can actually bring innovation and growth to our society. So by that, I would like to say thank you for attention.
And now we have room for some questions.
Okay.
So I could get some lights in here. We could see if somebody's raising their hand.
There you are. I couldn't see you before.
Any questions? Please.
I have a question. I mean, like, you're in a super niche. All right. Hi, my name is Heidi, and my question is. I'll hold it closer. Okay. My question is, you're in an extremely niche, and I guess usually when you have an angel investor, they will want money back at some point. Have you already started being profitable?
A little bit, but this business angel, he was only joining my company for a couple of years, and he was only doing this because he wanted to help out. So my hope is that I can earn a lot of money that I can pay back and give to other people that want to live their dreams. So that's, of course, one big... So, I mean, these people are so extremely important that they can just... I mean, they can afford to actually just give away some money.
Awesome.
Yeah. You know everything about space now.
Yeah.
It's amazing. But I will be here also in the afternoon and a little bit, yeah. More questions.
No more questions? Shoot. Yeah. How do you see the technology being integrated for mass use?
Yeah.
Considering all the great funding into the space industry.
That's when working in the space sector. That was something I of course could see that so much money is invested. So that's why we now want to bring this down to earth, as we say in our project. So I think, I mean, we look into the building sector, for example. I mean, which could really be a mass production coming up. So I mean, this is the purpose, what we are doing, that we want to very soon get integrated those technologies. So it's more that we need to find, and we do work with some very very exciting cooperations now with everything from Electrolux to Volvo Cars, SKF, and municipalities like Gothenburg Town, Shanghai, and so it's a lot of people and organizations that it's really interesting to work with space technology. So of course that will help out to work with big organizations that are ready to take these technologies into their products and solutions. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a huge interest for space from all people, actually, from small kids to grown-ups. So, and we also work with integrating students a lot, and we are looking into how we can work with student competitions and things like that to actually create a better awareness that these technologies are available. So let us use them into the society. And then I will also work with the space agencies to see how can we open up this, because now it's very closed. I mean, my company is one of 10 companies in Europe that has access to these material data banks, and my aim is also to see how can we open up these data banks so more people can use these materials.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for participating.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.